Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Laurel Park. Naomi Tucker joined alongside Keith Fustel. Keith, big day yesterday. Again, 9 races coming up today. Anything that we've learned from what we saw on that freshly laid May track?
Yeah, I mean, the track played fair. That's what I thought. That was the biggest thing. That noticing any kind of biases, I really didn't see any. You don't want to jump to any conclusions when you've got a new surface or even day to day. A lot of people like to jump and make an assumption. No, as the card played out, I thought it played fair. Turf course, we up for Equibase, we kind of noted 2 different conditions for the turf course yesterday. The inner portion we labeled as good, as the TV had. On the outer portion, if you go to the charts, the Dahlia course is a little softer, a little more give into it. I noted that as yielding for the day. So that was the only real note for the track conditions yesterday.
Good to know. Good to know. And indeed, we'll keep monitoring how it fares today. But yesterday, plenty of spectacular performances. Yeah. We'll get into that in a little bit during a lightning round, because today, Friday, means we have the return of a special friend. The Stronach 5 is coming back, and to promote that, we are giving away $10 in free betting money. So if you make your wager on the Stronach 5, $10 will be deducted from whatever total your wager is going to be. Now, the Stronach 5 is not starting at Laurel Park. It tends to start with us, but Gulfstream Park in race 5 kicks things off, and then Laurel Park race 8 and 9 are leg B and C, and then Gulfstream Park race 7 leg D, and we finish things off in race 3 at Golden Gate Field. So really, really excited and looking forward to this sequence coming back. Right,
absolutely.
Pete?
I mean, we've seen some just incredible payouts for the Stronach 5 coming back now. You're going to have these bigger fields of turf courses, so a lot to decipher. Who got the job this week? Did anybody do a ticket from this crew?
Tim Tulloch. Okay. Well, to be fair, Tim has always done very well with his Stronach 5 tickets. I think a little bit better, actually, than me. So I'm going to leave the honors to him today. I did an early pick for. Well, let's look ahead as well as the stakes action coming up next week. So that's a week and a day from now. Frank J. the Francis Memorial Dash Day. 4 stakes races headlined by the Francis Dash, the Grade 3, 12:40 p.m. post. Plenty of exciting runners thus far in the entries. Really looking forward to see how these races will take shape.
Absolutely. I mean, it's produced just tremendous sprinter after tremendous sprinter. I know our old friend here, Damon Dilladovico with Lakai. I don't know what his plans are, but I saw in some of the noms you've got horses like Yopan and Jackie's Warrior. So I'm sure Trish and the rest of the racing office are going to have a very good card assembled for Frank J. DeFrancis Memorial Dash Day.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Indeed, I do hope to see Lakai back there. No hint at all, Damon, wherever you are. I'd love to see him back. A veteran runner, of course, who gave the stable their first graded stakes win. So plenty looking forward to. As well as we highlighted it yesterday. Let's highlight it again. Pimlico's annual event, Canter for the Cause, Sunday, October the 10th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Your chance to get around the Pimlico main track, historic track with your own pony. How much fun is that?
Yeah, that's good. We talked about it yesterday. It's like going out to the field of dreams almost for a lot of people. So yeah, get your chance. It goes for a great cause. Entry fee, you see that is $50 per trip. Take a little stroll around the Pimlico track.
Yeah, certainly something that I would jump to if I was a child. Like I said, started in pony racing. It really gets your heart going when you're on such a historic track, nonetheless. Let's have a look at the current track conditions. Fast and firm at present, and really lovely temperature. Really perfect day for racing.
Yeah, we've got a little breeze kicking up right now. It's very comfortable, so you get a chance to get out here and catch some of the live racing. Please do so. Post time at 12:40.
Yeah, let's dive into this 9-race field before we head over to Lightning Round to review some of yesterday's action. And race number 1 is, of course, the start of the early pick 5, and I decided to try my hand at this sequence today. And as you can see in the ladder sections, I go quite deep. $60 in total, a bit more dear than I'm trying to normally assemble, but I felt like it was needed and justified today. Race number 1, too deep there. The 1 Shikaka, which I really, really love this mare on the rail here. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. She's been terrific, over 5 furlongs at Colonial in the last 2. She's good from the gate. She just kind of has everything moving in her direction in here, to be honest. But I did end up landing on a luring rumor for Bruno Tessori. Hopefully, maybe a bit more of a price than the other one. Now, my single comes in race number 2, Maiden 10. Now, I know singling in the Maiden 10 is sometimes a bit of a challenge. My 116, but I landed on the number 5 Wig for trainer Jamie Ness. Leave it to Jamie Ness to bring this first-time gelding back to the form figures he's capable of and showed last year. 36% winners when first off the claim for Ness. And then I start to spread. Race 3, I use the 5, the 7, and the 12. Race number 4, I go very, very deep. You can see 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. Maiden special weight, 2-year-old, so many first-time starters. I did not want to leave anyone out. I even ended up leaving the 8 out, Super Royal Moon. So if you want to add another one, you can add him as well. And then race 5, another maiden special weight, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. 4, 6, 9, and 10 for me, wide open yet again. Did land on Sense in the number 9 as a bit of a price play, who's by Arrogate, and I loved her first race on the turf, so it'll be second time on the turf for her. So let's dive into this first race to kick off this deep card yet again. Really have to pay my compliments to the racing office for providing us with these, not easy to handicap fields, but tremendous betting opportunities. Race number 1, 5.5 furlongs. The distance here, fillies and mares claiming 16 to 12.5 thousand. We got a couple of video spotlights in here, highlighting the fact that you definitely took to some of these. Let's start with Shikaka, who's jumping from the rail. We see her right there at Colonial. She's lovely from the gate. You can see her there. Perfect pocket trip, right? And then once she gets out in the clear, willingly responds to Heavy in Toledo.
Yeah, and she gets beat by Grand Skylark this particular day. A little different tactics for Grand Skylark. A horse that was closer to the pace at Pimlico decided to rate and come with this wide rally, but a very good trip. Shikaka has that tactical speed that allows the jockey to get her in that kind of position. She carries on fine to the wire. She's got to go an extra 16th of a mile today. She's going to sit a trip, just probably pocket it again right in behind the speeds before she makes that run. I'll go for a little bit more of a price here with the 5, Tricky Nicky, but certainly Chicago, the one to beat. We've got a video of Tricky Nicky's race. We've got it from 2 races back, right?
Yep, Pimlico,
July
5
the
furlongs.
31st, yeah. And that was, a little bit of trouble with Tricky Nicky that day. She has some speed. She used it last time. I am hoping she kind of finds herself having to rate off of the pace today because I think she brings a little bit of a run. Watch this into the turn. She's going to have to steady in behind horses, shuffle back, giving up a couple lengths to Aprilness there into the turn. But watch this, working outward and finds a little bit of a seam here, works out in the last 3/16 of a mile and really fires home nicely, does Tricky Nicky, to get in the clear, sustain that run, and get up for victory at a pretty good price there that afternoon of almost 9 to 1. This is a horse I think can maybe nab the favorite at the wire, but she's got to rate. I don't want her involved in an early duel.
Yeah, good pickup there. Indeed, the trouble just kind of not helping herself with that early speed that she showed, having to take back, but still coming home so strongly. Thought she looked inwards a little bit. You can see Ty's really having to steer her properly, like, in the right direction. But indeed, loved that closing kick that she showed. Yeah, I used the number 3 Alluring Romba on top for Bruno to serve Carlos Lope a second time trying this level. And I think she's just going to be within reach all the way. And I'm hoping that she's going to get that lovely trip here. Has run speed figures that are competitive in this spot. And hopefully another one at a bit of a price. 6-1 on the board at present. You've got a 10-1 shot on top. So you can see both of us are trying to beat the current 5-2 favorite on the rail, Shikaka. Race number 2 is the mile and 16, as well as the start of the early pick 4. Do you believe you did a ticket for the early pick 4 today, right?
And yeah, $16 ticket. And I was talking to my man Joe Gass, and thanks Joe for giving me a good winner last night at Indiana Grant, a $20 winner. The man was watching.
Where was my tip?
Well, I know I should have given it out on the show, and I had to keep the price a little bit. But
okay.
Anyhow, back to the early pick 4. And talking about these multi-race wagers today, Naomi, they are chock full of value, really, really difficult. You've got a $60 early ticket. I don't blame you at all. You're going to have to invest if you're going to really feel confident in these kind of wagers of pick 4, pick 5, pick 6s today. They're that wide open, but I got a little bit of a structure here for you, a little model here. We're going to single to 5 to get you going. Wick, I think you like this horse as a single as well to get you started. Race 2, race 3, a spread. 2, 3, 5, and 7. Cher Albu, kind of my price user in there. I'm going to come back to that one, chase that one. Last time, race 4 with the 5 and the 6. Practical Sense. I guess they're going to do it to me again. Jeremiah Dwyer, that horse got crushed yesterday. They were tough on the morning line guy in a couple of races yesterday. Dwyer's horse bet down to 6-5. I'm hoping maybe we can get 5, 6-1 on Practical Sense here in race number 4. Race number 5, 2, 4, 6, and 8. There we go again. 2-year-old maidens, 5.5 on the grass. Just toss the names in a hat and grab one. You might have yourself a winner. That's how tough that race is. So we're going to keep it, cheap. Maybe we can come away and sneak away with the ticket, $16. That's your start for the early pick 4.
Oh, I think it's a really good structure, and indeed agreed with the single in race 2, because that's what I did as well. Single where you feel like you can, and look at the other races and perhaps try and find a couple of horses to use in that spot. Race 2, maiden claimers, $10,000 to $8,000, mile and 16 on the main track here. And well, let's start with the horse that both of us single, so basically our entire day is already hinging on the number 5 Wick for trainer Jamie Ness. First off the claim, 36% winners with that kind of move. Now that will sway you in that direction, but also just leave it to Jamie Ness to bring this horse back to some of the figures that he's shown in the past, earlier this year as well as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, hasn't shown a lot of speed in his races, but some good figures, competitive figures that he comes back to him. He's going to win. You see the Protect move in for the waiver this afternoon. Delightfully Wicked, the horse that beat him last time, he made his way up here to Pimlico for Dale Capuano and absolutely aired and has come back and run well since. So Wick, it's his race to lose. First time gelding. I think he'll get position even from a little bit of an outer post here, be able to kind of stalk and move up into it. Royal Ian has been good. I think he's going to draw a lot of play, but is he a little bit better on a wet track? That's the key. But he gets great position. He has stamina from the rail.
Yeah, well, he lost twice in a photo, but he does relish these 2 turns events, and he has what it takes to win. He's tactical and he has stamina. Just not entirely certain if he's going to get the job done, but you have to use him underneath. But you use the number 4 Heroic Deed, who I didn't give much respect to, I must admit.
Well, we've got a barn change. Kenny Cox, and I like another Kenny Cox horse at a price later today, but flashed a little kind of middle moves in some of those turf races. The mare, she did win on dirt, broke the maiden on dirt. War Dancer, you're kind of thinking turf with that, but I'm just looking like a price. I think the bettors are going to come in on Wick looking for something to boost that exacta, and I don't think this horse is completely out of the realm here. The Big Maz ran well first time out, sustained a run after a hustling ride. This horse was hustled pretty much from the get-go and kept on grinding to only miss by a head. I think this horse is going to stretch out just fine. 3 for 5, smaller sample is Schoenthal, sprint to route, second career start of the last couple years.
I like that. You always come up with these terrific stats that tend to play out pretty nicely. Race number 3, we're moving along along through this 9-race card. 1 mile on the turf as well. Fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up, claiming 16 to 12,500 there. And also the start of the late pick 5. Make a note of that there. Scratch running on entry there on the inside, but both of us ended up with the number 7 on top, Mrs. Boombastic. Now, her sole career victory came quite impressively, taking over and clearing at Belmont. She returns to the turf here, and I'm here for it. I like it.
It gets back to the preferred surface. That's the key in Trombetta. Here's a little stat for you. The last 45 days on the turf, Tromby, 11 for 42, 26% with an ROI of 355. The turf runners are showing up from the Trombetta barn. He had a horse yesterday. Moses Image ran good again, rallied back for a second. But Miss Boombastic, the day she broke the maiden, she beat a horse and comes back and has run well for 40. Had a tough trip after that. Somewhere from mid-pack for, I don't want to take a real short price. I had her lined at 7 to 2 because I think this is kind of wide open after her. If she doesn't bring kind of close to like a B-plus effort, then she's beat. And I think the horse I've been chasing. Boo, I like the way this horse overcame trouble at Pimlico 2 races back. Rallied into a slow pace. I need the rider. Rosado, rider change on the 2. We got Johan Rosado. Get her into the race sooner. She showed a little bit of ability to do that 2 races back. Last time found herself too far back. So find a spot within 3 or 4 lengths out of it by the far turn. We've got a shot with the 2 at a price.
Yeah, I agree with you here. Like underneath, aside from the 7, you just start looking at price horses. I landed on Wolverette. JD Acosta takes to ride there for Susan Cooney. Perhaps we might be able to get something like 6 to 1. And her last run at this level on the turf saw her cover a fair bit of ground, and she made an aggressive move, which kind of left her a little flat. So I'm liking her if the value is right in this spot. And then I also used the number 12, Blessed Honor, who I actually kind of think, if there isn't that much speed, why not her from the outside, saying let's take this over and see how far we can get, or just sit behind it there. Race number 4 is the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. I do believe Callie Francois made a ticket for us here. I'll run you through that really quickly. 4 deep in here, 1, 2, 6, and 7. Also 4 deep in race number 5, 5, 6, and 9, and 10. And then she has a single in race number 6 in shape of the number 6 Alpha Chi Ro for Kieran McGee. Carlos Lopez comes off the back of 2 wins in here, making her second start for the McGee stable. I like it. Race number 7, 4, and 6 in that maiden special weight. That's a tricky race. She uses Trust Daddy for Jerry O'Dwyer, number 4, and then the number 6, the Clam King, also a first-time starter for trainer Brittany Russell. Candy Kermooch takes that rise. Race 8, she goes tight as well, 10 and 12, that 5.5 furlongs on the turf, which is I'm a Star Boy as well as Starburst. We're keeping it with the name here. And then race number 9, the closer, is 4, 6, and 7 for Callie. $38.40 ticket for Rainbow Persist. You know what? Got to give her credit. That is very, very well structured. Let's hope it pays off in here, because like I said, I went for an early pick 5 that was quite expensive, more expensive than usual. So I love the structure. Have a look and see if you'd like to add any horses. Plenty of opportunity to do so with $38.40. Let's dive into this maiden special weight event, race number 4. 2-year-olds, 6 furlongs the distance. And you know what, Keith, this is a tricky one. Let's look at some pedigrees, right, and some connections.
Yeah, it's like when you see the overnight come out and you see Russell, O'Dwyer, Stidham in motion, and these horses with these firsters. I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going to have well-bred horses, and we're going to have to go through all the breeding. It's a lot of work. We've got a lot of notes here. Look at all this stuff. It's working through a bunch of pens, trying to keep ourselves on top of things here. But yeah, I got a stat here in the 4th. You want to show that first? Can we do that?
Let's go for it.
Okay.
We have the stat lined up in here.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't? Oh, I thought I sent one for the 5th.
Oh, you can read it out to us.
We're going to read this stat because I thought I said it. That's my bad, guys. Practical Sense, number 5, Jeremiah Dwyer, the last couple of years with 2-year-old maiden special weight firsters on the dirt. Pretty good, 22% with an ROI of almost 450. So I like that. The money really came in on this horse yesterday. But what I like about Practical Sense is the stallion here, Practical Joke, 32% thus far with the 2-year-old firsters. Just a phenomenal rate from a decent sample size. The mare, one debut, she was 9 for 35. All 3 siblings are winners. Not the fastest, but man, there's some stats there that lead me to believe. And I like the couple works, the improving works here for Practical Sense over this racetrack. Give me a shot at a little bit of a price.
Look,
I'm just hoping they don't come in as much.
I love your stat on the sire, Practical Joke, and indeed a Dam 1 on debut, 74 buyer. I just not really taken by the family. A bit more of a claiming level family. family. We're looking at maiden special weight horses in here, possibly some, hopefully, stakes company horses at some point. Practical Sense will have to show that to me before I'm a believer. But then again, how do we know? It's a first-time starter. I landed on the number 6, Homebrew, trainer Kelly Breen, who is a homebred for the West, Marion Gary West. Half the graded stakes winner, Airstrike, who won a grade 2 at over 7 furlongs in Santa Anita Park. 94 buyer he topped out of, but none of the 4 siblings have won first time out, though, which isn't as encouraging, but 3 out of 4 showed up.
Exactly. That's the key there. And you're talking about a full to Airstrike, really good horse. And I think recently had a horse break its maiden, one of the siblings up at Monmouth, a good number, like an 83. So, yeah, I like that horse. I like the 2, tops the charts here. McLean's Music, always a good first out kind of a stallion. And the 1, you go with Brittany Russell, Von Hoff, unraced. Looking at the page, I'm like, man, this horse brought a ton of money. There wasn't a slew there to get, but work was all right. But out of Eisman Equine, one of those consigners that usually has a bunch of good horses at their sale. So yeah, you got to respect the fact that's a lot of money.
Yeah, Von Hoff cost a pretty penny. Yes. $335,000. Of course, make the rider Kendrick Carmouche. Sheldon Russell will not be riding today after an incident in the last year. So we do hope that he'll be back as soon as possible and all is well there. But of course, Kendrick Carmouche is going to be hungry to get a couple of winners on board here. He had 3 rides yesterday, wasn't able to get a job done just yet. But yeah, plenty of intrigue here, and definitely we'll have a look as well in the paddock how these are looking. Race number 5, another maiden special weight here, 5.5 furlongs. But of course, before race 5, we go to the commercial. I'm just so excited to get along with things.
I'm telling you, we're rolling right through them. We have to, but yeah, we've got to take a break. We got to pay the sponsors.
When it comes to getting back in the game, there's only one team to turn to. The team more high school, collegiate, and professional athletes train and recover with. That team is MedStar Sports Medicine. For more than 30 years, MedStar has served as a leader in the diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of orthopedic and sports-related injuries. Ranked among the top programs in the Maryland and Washington regions, we offer rapid access to athletes of all levels. Let the pros who treat the pros treat you. MedStar Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Laurel Park. 9 races on the card. Couple of maiden special weights to really dive into. One of those being race number 5, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. 2-year-old maidens. Well, let's start with the horse that you do have a video spotlight on, Radical Right, the number 4 for trainer Dale Capuano. We'll have a look at his debut, which was on the main track. You just see him there on the outside. Kind of just stood a little bit, but then shot forward, was asked quite a lot by George Arias. You can see he's really asking him to secure that forward position. Yeah,
that's the key. They're off a little slow and really was used hard. You see that in the comment. Outside of a horse, HP Moon, who everybody knew about and just ran off the screen. One of the best debuts I've seen by a 2-year-old in all my years here in Maryland charting races. Well, that buyer was like an 81, I think. Could have been maybe more if they just wanted to just let it go out a little bit. But I tell you what, Radical Right holds okay. A little fade late. The number comes back. It works. Turf breeding, all right. Nothing great. But I think the speed off of that race, this horse gets a chance to maybe rate a little bit early, will be a factor a long way around the racetrack.
Yeah, I use him underneath as well. Both of us landed on a first-time starter for trainer Lacey Gaudet. The man to see, Victor Carrasco on board. Now, what really caught my attention is that bullet work on the 5th of September, 51-4. First out of 8 on the turf against, a couple of other 2-year-olds and some other older horses.
Yeah, I looked at that and kind of comparing it. There was a horse out of that. There's that work tab that ran here yesterday, ran a credible 4th. I believe it was on the grass. So, yeah, clearly much the best that work. And I had the mare unraced dam, about half to some really good horses. Second dam, stakes winner on the dirt and the turf, graded stakes place on the turf. I know Toledo had his choice. He goes to the 2. I'm still going to stick with this 6-horse, 5 Hellions Farm and Lacey Gaudet. They do some damage.
Oh, they do indeed. Yep. Really looking forward to seeing this one. I actually landed on the number 9 Sensen as a bit of a price play here. I've been following this 2-year-old by Arrogate since I saw her at Pimlico over that 5 furlongs because I just was so taken by her stride, really lengthy stride. I did feel like she still had some growing to do, so I thought the more racing, the more time, the better for her. I loved her her turf debut. I thought that was really, really strong there at Colonial. She was second only by a length and 3/4 to Street Tapper, who was a 100 grand OBS first time starter by Street Boss. So not bad at all. And I just thought it paid off to put her on the turf because she had that kind of stride that skips over it quite nicely. So I'm going to take a chance here. Maybe 6-1 I'll get on a filly with experience in this field. And then I use Captain Candy, who you go against completely. I mean, a 62 buyer at Colonial. Wish Me Home then went on to run third in a stake at the same track over the same distance after that. Surely that franks the form.
Yeah, I mean, is she going to be hung out? Is he going to be hung out a long, long way? I'm not sure. He's going to be a speed factor, no doubt about it. Was DQ'd, unfortunately, 2 races back out of a win. But going back to Sensen, the filly taking on the boys, with these 2-year-old races, it doesn't really bother me too much. And talking about keying up against the right kind, out of that race for Sensen, we'll go back to her. 4th place finisher, came back to run second at Kentucky Downs.
Ooh, that's a really good form, Frank, there as well. And then let's move along to some of the other races. We still had a couple of races to go. Race number 6, starter allowance optional claimer, 6 furlong the distance here. We do have a video spotlight on the number 5, Semper Fi here. We have a look at the start in his last race where, well, you can see him there. He hopped upwards. Now, unfortunately for him, he tends to do that. He tends to rear, hop, break, you name it. He's done that plenty of times at the point of this was a terrific finish, but he is causing his own trouble.
And and that's the frustrating part. And guys like me, unfortunately, we keep chasing horses like this. But I think Semper Fi is a better sprinter. Right, comes really running late. He spotted the field several lengths out of the gate. He's got to come out. There is some flow in here. I'm going to come back one more time. I used the Cairo Kid. I thought last time was going to be the time off the layoff. But I think he's got, he doesn't have to improve much off of that last race. He certainly needed it to win. He kind of maybe was used a little too much running away from the field. If he can kind of rate a little bit better, he can win. And he's shown the ability to come from just off the pace if somebody wants to really go to. So I'll come back one time with a Cairo Kid and a couple horses out of that race. Certainly Semper Fi, a little bit better break. He's going to rally in to make an impact here. But Alpha Cairo, you're using 4th. He's a 3-time winner. I like these horses, the 3-year-olds that have won the multiple races, 3-4 races, and they come back against horses still trying to get through that condition. He's game and certainly could improve second time here for Kieran.
Yeah, I use the number 8 as seen on TV because I think he's going to challenge the Cairo Kid for the lead early. I've been chasing the Cairo Kid for a fair bit, so I'm going against him here today because I think as seen on TV has the outside post, that higher draw, can be the one applying pressure. I don't think the Cairo Kid does too well with that. He tends to overdo it. As seen on TV, he's going to make full use of that. I also use the number 9 Spotted Bull, but as you can see, very different picks for us in race number 6. Race number 7, another maiden special weight. Now, if you love your 2-year-old racing, do come down to Laurel Park because we have plenty of it. 6 furlongs the distance. We'll start with your top selection in there, Keith. Bowie 2-step for Kenny Cox there. Showed speed on debut, but tired quite a lot in that last section of the race.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, is another reach for me. But that's what I'm going to do on cards like this. But I have some legitimate stuff to back it up. I'm not just kind of just willy-nilly. And Bowie's 2-step, interesting. Went back and looked at the race. First, he took plenty of money first time out. Okay, caught a horse, a runaway winner, long shadow, ran very big. But he got a little bit of a tight spot soon after the break. He had to steady a little bit, and then he rushed up, made a pretty quick middle move. You didn't really see it in the running line, but if you go watch the video, the horse made a pretty good move into it, and it just kind of drafted back out, lost along the rail, and faded. All right. Last year, Kenny Cox did a similar thing with a horse. Ain't the Beer Cold. Were you here for that horse? Ain't the Beer Cold?
I was,
yeah. Okay, Ain't the Beer Cold. Buried at Delaware in debut. Came back here, scored by like 5, and paying like $35, $38. So I'm going to go with that angle. You got to look like a breeding Speightstown out of a really good mare. So hey, speed from the inside. I think if he breaks cleanly, he can go on with it. Toledo stays for this mount.
Yeah, no, I definitely am intrigued. I use a first-time starter for trainer Brittany Russell. The clam came in again, Kendrick Cartmucha filling in for husband Sheldon Russell, who is on the sidelines at present. Damn one on debut, 7 furlongs, a 59 buyer on the main track. 2 siblings, they haven't done as much yet, but I just like the connections coming in here. A solid sort of lengthier work tab. I'm going to take my chances with the number 6, but also use the number 3 Night Boss for Carla Morgan. That Colonial turf form to dirt form. We've seen that pay off in the past. So I'm thinking, you know what? I've seen this trick here before. I'm going to make sure that I'm on board.
Yeah, I had one of the Kenny Cox horses like that, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
I think it
Synergy
was.
Star that ended up going over to Timonium, right? And winning. So, yeah, there's an angle there for you. And I'll come back with the 4. Trust Daddy. Here we go with Jeremiah O'Dwyer again with Geraldo. Stallion, only a couple runners, but he's 2 for 5 so far with his runners first time out. I like that. This horse worked quick down in Ocala, 9-4. Pretty strong breeze there for that one. And his second dam was a graded stakes place type. So, yeah, we'll use that. And we talked about that percentage first time out maiden special weights with the 2-year-olds for Jeremiah O'Dwyer.
As we turn the page for race number 8, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. First level allowance there. And again, we have very different selections today, Keith, but we saw that yesterday as well because these fields are so competitive. We'll start with your top selection in here, which is Sue Loves Barbados for trainer Dale Capuano. Has been on the turf 2 starts ago and a couple of times before. Didn't do too bad at all. Then had him sprinting back on the main track again. I must admit, I like this runner. He is consistent. Is he good enough to topple some of these sort of turf specialists? I'm not sure.
I think he's going to fall into a great trip today. That's the key. He gets an extra 1/16 of a mile from that 5/8 race at Pimlico. I do like the deeper closers at Pimlico, believe it or not, but I think this race is going to set up. He'll be able to relax a little bit. There's plenty of flow. I think he rallies into it at price, and he never really gets bet that hard. So I'm going to hopefully take that 5 or 6 to 1. Key him top and bottom with several horses in the exacta.
Flies under the radar ever so slightly. I landed on the number 12 Starbus. Michael Stidham speedster from the outside. No real pedigree angle here, I'm not going to lie. Looking at the pedigree in relation to the turf, upstart not that good with his turf sprinters either, and the dam, not much turf on that bottom side. But I like the speed that Starbus showed. We're going 5.5 furlongs. He's taken them gate to wire in his 2 starts to date. He's unbeaten, has done nothing wrong. Find it intriguing that Michael Stidham decides to put him here on the turf, so I'm going to take a chance with him, and you use him underneath.
Yeah, I just cautiously. This is the move that I just don't like. I mean, from year in and year out handicap, you run 2 big races on the dirt. You're talking about the upstarts of 4%, on sprinting on the turf. So if the horse gets play, I can't play that horse at a short price. I'll use underneath an exactus. Hey, he's a talented horse. If he beats me, he beats me. He certainly could. But I'm going to go elsewhere. Sue Loves Barbados. I'm a star boy. The blinkers have gone on. This horse is dead game. He's won on the front end. I don't think he needs the lead if he doesn't get the lead, but he's going to be close to it, especially with the scratch of Fair Catch, who definitely helps the chances of some of the other speeds with him coming out.
I do respect Town of Gold as well. First time Lasix. He hasn't returned to that 2-year-old form just yet, but I thought that race at Aqueduct from last year was encouraging if he can get back to it. Nightcap, the number 9, race number 9, maiden 16 to 12,500, 5.5 furlongs on the turf as well. And Keith, this time we agree.
Wow.
This time, both of us have
unusual.
the same horse on top. It hasn't happened, I think, for the entire other 8 races. Fake ID, Sarah Nagle, Xavier Perez, significant drop in class. After 2 pretty solid performances on the grass against Better, I think he can continue to improve. Yeah,
this is a horse they ran for 12.5 first time out, so they're not really worried. Okay, so this drop is not too much of a concern for me. Just a mid-50 is going to win it. I think there's enough suspect speed where he can lay just off of it. X-Man pounces top of the stretch and tries to go on with it. I think Divine Proportion brought a little improvement on the dirt. First time for Damon. Can he transfer that to the turf? Because he's got to run a few races back where he closed up pretty well. I don't want to be that far back, but that improvement he showed on the dirt makes me feel a little bit more confident for him to stay closer here on the turf.
Yeah, 6, 7, 1, 4 for me. 6, 4, 7, 12 for you, Keith. As we'll move on to lightning round. We already highlighted it earlier in the show. The Stronach 5 is back, and back with a bang. We kick things off at Gulfstream Park, race 5. 2 legs here at Laurel Park, race 8 and race 9, and then we're back to Florida Gulfstream Park, and then we go to our friends out west to finish things off, hopefully strongly, at Golden Gate Fields. And I do believe Tim Tulloch has a ticket for that. My bad that I wasn't able to mention that early in the show, but he will make sure to get it out there before race number 5 at Gulfstream Park, because he's very, very good at those tickets. As we move along to the next topic, Charlie Marquez is riding high. He won the Pimlico meet, leading rider. First time a title for Charlie Marquez, a young rider who just continues to progress.
Absolutely. He gets better and better. 2 wins yesterday, and it's just kind of onwards and upwards for Charlie.
Absolutely. And you see the final jockey standings from Pimlico. Charlie at 49 winners, followed by JD Costa in second with 40 and Javier Toledo in third with 38. I mean, tight for the placings there, but Charlie Marquez was kind of a runaway winner there. So massive congratulations to him, onwards and upwards. As we'll check in with the current standings. Now, we haven't had many race days just yet, one, but we see Michael Sanchez and Charlie Marquez tying with 2 winners apiece, as well as Forest Boys, Javier Toledo and Sheldon Russell, all riding a winner on opening day. And then as for the trainers go, we have a look at the winners, basically. Shug McGay, Michael Trombetta, Michael Stidham. So we'll check in again next week to see how everyone is doing after 4 days of live racing here at Laurel Park, as we'll reflect on some of the 2-year-old action from yesterday. Couple of impressive winners. We see one of these here, Frosty Brew for trainer Shug McGay, Forrest Boyce aboard there. You can see her down the stretch there. Seemed to, have to be asked, but she responds.
She does, and she was floated out a little bit, turning for home about 4 or 5 wide, and Forrest Boyce just gives her a little bit of a nudge, 3/16 and a little tab there. I gave her a ridden out comment here on the short comment, and for a 2-year-old, for McGahee to win like that first out, that's a barn that doesn't win a lot with first-time starters. That's a talented horse right there. That was a horse I went back and actually looked at a work at the sale down in Ocala. I think it worked 21 flat and did it easy. A lot of talent. I wish I'd have watched that work and made me would have bet a little bit more money on that horse yesterday. But she got a good price, and I think the future looks bright for Frosty Brew.
Yeah, very much looking forward to seeing her next out. Of course, she's by Frosted, who's one of my favorite all-time racehorses. His Met Mao, and I saw him at John O'Bell Farm. Beautiful individual as well, and just a very kind, temperament in the horse. So I'm liking it. The fact that his youngsters are doing well, and some of his 3-year-olds hopefully will come along this year too. Another first-time starter, Kit Keller, in the nightcap on the turf, 5.5 furlong. Well, she absolutely relished that. Trainer Michael Stidham, Charlie Marquez. We did, have a little bit of upheaval before we got the chance to start the race. As mentioned, unfortunately, Sheldon wasn't as lucky. But look at this 2-year-old performance here. Just much the best.
And another winner given out by Naomi Tucker for the racing fans, right? And there's Charlie Marquez. You got this horse. They were really in rhythm around the turn. They got the horse to relax, and just a little ass top of the stretch kicked away. Dale's horse, White Knuckle Flyer, was really rolling late, but confidently handled that last 16th of a mile. She's got some talent as well, Kit Keller.
I did notice the White Knuckle Fly for Dale Capuano as well. That was her first time on the turf after a debut on the main track, and she seems to take to it. But certainly, Kit Keller, one to look out for, as today will hopefully give us a couple more 2-year-olds to write down in our little black books. That will do it for me and Keith this morning. But Tim, Tulla, Callie, Francois, and me will be back this afternoon to hopefully hand out a couple more winners. Good luck, everyone.
All right, good luck.